Hi, everybody. Matt Bernier, joined by DRF's national handicapper Mike Watchmaker, taking a look at this weekend's Weekend Warrior for the weekend of August the 4th. Two big races from Saratoga, one from West Virginia. We're going to take a look at Mountaineer Park and their West Virginia Derby. First things first, Mike, let's take a look at arguably the biggest race for older horses for the entire Saratoga meeting. The Grade 1 Whitney, you've got a field of 8 signed on. Stretch Out Sprinter and Mind Your Biscuits. You've got Diversify, who was so impressive in the Suburban. You want to go a little bit elsewhere.
I do, Matt. Look, I wouldn't be the least bit surprised if Diversify or Mind Your Biscuits won this race. It's just that I'm a little bit concerned about Mind Your Biscuits' really giant, Diversify's really giant performance in the Suburban last time. I think it might have been too good, and I expect at least some sort of form regression off that performance. And he's going to get early pace pressure in this race from Dalmore. And as for Mind Your Biscuits, it's his first career attempt going 2 turns, and this is going to be his 23rd career start. I got no problem with a talented horse like this trying him, taking him when he's trying something new, but you have to get the price, and he's just not going to be the price this time. So for those reasons, I looked elsewhere, and I like Backyard Heaven. Now, I don't know what happened to Backyard Heaven in the Foster last time out. I mean, he was dismal. He was 4 to 5. He looked every bit, he actually looked like a bit of an overlay at 4 to 5, because that's how good his Ali Sheba was 2 starts back, who really was a tremendous performance. But he was completely empty in the Foster. I think it's telling that Chad Brown is just persevering with this horse. If this horse had gone away for 3 months, and you would have known something really went wrong with him in the Foster. But the fact that they're bringing him back in the race that was actually his main target after he won the Ali Sheba, I think is a very encouraging sign. And if he runs back to that Ali Sheba, I think he's very much in the ballpark with Diversify and Mind Your Biscuits, even if they run their best races.
We go down to Mountaineer Park, the Grade 3 West Virginia Derby. Probably not a stellar addition to this race. You've got a couple of horses coming in from Southern California that figure to take the lion's share of the money. You're interested in a horse coming out of New York.
I am. I'm interested in Rugby Man here, but first, you got to add the qualifier. This is a race at Mountaineer, and in recent West Virginia Derby days, the rail, the inside part of the track, not just the rail, the inside 4 or 5 paths have been like quicksand. Now, I did look at some recent charts from there, and there were some, according to the comments, inside winners. Maybe track management has fixed the situation. I don't know. But if you're going to play this race, it's incumbent upon you to at least look in at some of the earlier races of the card to see what's going on. Now, that said, you got 3 out of the Los Alamitos Derby. You got 3 out of the Iowa Derby. I don't want any one of those horses because both races were really slow, mid-80 buyer figures for the winner. Whereas Rugby Man comes out of that, I think, controversial Dwyer Stakes. That was a race, of course, that Mendelssohn came up completely empty, and Frenzy Fire won by 9 at 5 to 2 after being 6 to 1 going into the gate and 5 to 1 for almost the first quarter mile. I'm just going to draw a line through a lot of horses in that race that didn't run well. And I think Rugby Man has a chance to win this race off his sharp second in the Easy Goer 2 starts back, and off his maiden win, a big maiden win 3 starts back at Belmont Park. He won by the length of the stretch. I think either one of those performances puts him right in the ballpark with anybody coming out of quote-unquote better races.
Back to Saratoga for another Grade 1 event. This one for the 3-year-old fillies going 7/8 in the test, a field of 9. You got a little bit of everything mixed in here. Where are you going to go?
I'm going with Separation of Powers. The test is always a great race. There's always a lot of different options, and that's no different this year. You got Alter Moon, who's also out of the Chad Brown barn, just like Separation of Powers, making her first start for Chad Brown after selling for $675,000, which is the second highest price at the recent Facing Tipton Horses of Racing Age sale. You got Mia Mischief, who's obviously better than she was, obviously capable of better than she showed in the Victory Ride. And you got Minute to Stardom, who won her first 3 starts like she's, could be anything. But Separation of Powers, I thought, ran a dynamite race in her comeback race in the Victory Ride. She stumbled terribly coming out of the gate, and that put her way, way out of the picture early. Not only that, she steadied in between horses and upper stress when she was rallying, and despite all of that, she finished 4th, was beaten less than 2 lengths for all the money. Last year at certain points of the season, it looked like Separation of Powers might have been the best 2-year-old filly around. People were thinking that when she ran in the Spinaway up here at Saratoga. She got caught in a ridiculous speed duel in that race. She came back, she won the Frazette easily. And while the outside was the best part of the track during Breeders' Cup weekend at Del Mar, she had post 13 in the Breeders' Cup Juvenile Fillies. I mean, that was a tall task for anybody. And I just think the best separation of power is too good for this field.
DRF's national handicapper Mike Watchmaker. You can find the entire Weekend Warrior write-up over on drf.com. Great stuff as always, Mike. Best of luck this weekend. We'll talk again soon.
Thanks a lot, Matt.